Reformed thinking. Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take the sources you send over articles, notes, research, that kind of thing, and really try to pull out the main insights. Think of it as a way to get up to speed quickly, maybe find some connections you didn't expect. Today, we're looking at a really vivid scene from the Pilgrim's Progress. It's Christians face off with Apollyon in the Valley of Humiliation. We'll be working from excerpts of the book itself and some analysis you shared.
Right, and our goal here is to unpack the details of that confrontation, get a feel for the characters in this moment, and see what key ideas really stand out for you from this material.
Okay, so the story picks up after Christian has been at the House Beautiful. He's making his way now down into the Valley of Humiliation.
Yeah, and the sources make it clear this descent isn't easy. It's described as difficult, even dangerous.
He's not totally alone at first, though, right? The material mentions 4 companions going down the hill with him. Discretion, Piety.
Charity and Prudence, yeah.
Okay.
And there's a reason they're with him. The text says, it's a hard matter for a man to go down into the Valley of Humiliation, and to catch no slip, by the way. It even notes that Christian himself, though he's being very wary, still has a slip or two.
Wow. So even with help and being careful, it's still tricky.
Mm-hmm. It shows how tough this spiritual low point, this valley, can be to navigate.
And then at the bottom, before he goes on, they give him some things.
Yeah, provisions,
Yeah.
a loaf of bread, a bottle of wine, and a cluster of raisins. Then he continues on his own.
And that's when things really kick off. He's alone now in the valley, and the text says he's hard put to it. Then he spots him, this foul fiend coming over the field, Apollyon.
And the description of Apollyon on the sources is something else just terrifying. Calls him a hideous monster.
Okay.
He's got scales like a fish, which the text notes are his pride, wings like a dragon, feet like a bear.
Wow.
Fire and smoke coming out of his belly, and a mouth like a lion. It's quite the image. Very intimidating.
Yeah, no kidding. And Christian's reaction is pretty understandable. He gets scared. The sources say he starts thinking, should I turn back? Should I stand here?
Right, that moment of decision. And the material actually tells us exactly why he decides to stand his ground.
Yeah.
It's a very specific, practical reason. He realizes he had no armor for his back.
Ah, okay. So if he turned to run.
Apollyon would have an easy shot.
Yeah.
It says turning might give him the greater advantage, with ease to pierce him with his darts.
Makes sense. Vulnerable from behind.
Exactly. So even though he's afraid, he figures standing firm is actually the safer bet. He resolved to venture and stand his ground. The thinking was, even just for the saving of my life, standing is the best way to, well, stand.
So he braces himself, and Apollyon comes up, looks at him with this disdainful countenance, the text says, and he starts questioning him. Where are you from? Where are you going?
Christian answers straight up. From the city of destruction, going to the city of Zion.
And Apollyon immediately claims ownership. You're one of my subjects.
Yeah, he says, all that country is mine, and I am the prince and god of it. Then asks him why he run away from thy king. It's a direct challenge to Christian's new path.
How does Christian respond to that?
Well, he acknowledges where he came from, that he was born there. But he says Apollyon's, quote, service was hard, and your wages such as a man could not live on. And he quotes scripture here, doesn't he? For the wages of sin is death. That's his reason for leaving. He wanted to mend myself.
But Apollyon tries to lure him back, right? Offers him stuff.
Oh, yeah. He promises him what our country will afford. He even tries to argue Christian made a bad trade, saying the king of princes' service is worse. He claims it's common, ordinary, for people who claim to follow the king to just give him the slip and come back to him, Apollyon.
Trying to undermine his confidence. But Christian doesn't bite.
No, he's quite firm. He says, I have let myself to another, even to the king of princes. Basically, I've got a new master now. He asks, how can I with fairness go back with thee? He stresses he's given him my faith and sworn my allegiance to him. Going back would make him a traitor.
He'd be hanged as a traitor, he says. Pretty strong language.
It is. And Apollyon tries to brush off Christian's past allegiance to him, saying, oh, that was when you were young and didn't know better in your naddage.
But Christian has an answer for that, too.
He does. He points out that his new prince is able to absolve me, yea, and to pardon also what I did as to my compliance with thee.
So pointing to forgiveness for the past.
Exactly. That's where his confidence comes from now. And he makes his preference crystal clear. He says, I like his service, his wages, his servants, his government, his company and country better than thine. Full stop.
Wow.
Then tells Apollyon, leave off to persuade me further. I am his servant and I will follow him. Case closed, basically.
Okay, so persuasion didn't work. What's Apollyon's next move, according to the sources?
He's switching gears. He starts with warnings, trying to scare Christian about the road ahead. He claims followers of the king usually come to an ill end because they go against Apollyon. And he adds this bit that the king never came yet to rescue his followers when things got tough.
Ouch. Trying to plant seeds of doubt about God's faithfulness.
Mm-hmm. And contrasts it with himself, boasting that he often rescues his own servants using power or fraud. He even offers to rescue Christian if he comes back.
How does Christian handle that one?
He pushes back. He argues that when the king doesn't immediately rescue them, it's purposeful. It's to try their love, whether they will cleave to him to the end.
So a test of faithfulness.
Right. And that ill end Apollyon mentioned, Christian says it's actually most glorious in their account. They're just waiting for their glory when the prince returns. It completely reframes the suffering.
Okay, so warnings didn't work either. What's left in Apollyon's verbal arsenal?
Personal accusations. He goes right after Christian's own track record, saying he's already been unfaithful in thy service to him, meaning the king.
Bringing up past mistakes. What specifically does he mention?
The sources list quite a few things. Fainting at the slough of despond.
Oh yeah, way back.
Crying wrong ways to get rid of his burden, falling asleep and losing his scrawl.
The choice thing, right.
Yes. Nearly turning back when he saw the lions at the Palace Beautiful, and even being motivated by pride, vainglory, when talking about his experiences.
Wow, he's kept a detailed record. How does Christian deal with that? It's pretty specific.
It is. And Christian's response is really interesting. He doesn't deny any of it. He says, all this is true, and much more which thou hast left out. He owns it.
He just admits it.
Admits it fully, but then immediately pivots. He says, but the prince, whom I serve and honor, is merciful and ready to forgive.
Back to pardon.
Exactly. And he adds this crucial bit about where those feelings came from. He says, these infirmities possessed me in thy country, for there I sucked them in. He links those sins back to his origins under Apollyon's rule, and finishes by saying he has groaned under them, been sorry for them, and have obtained pardon of my prince.
So acknowledging the reality of sin, but grounding his standing entirely in the prince's forgiveness.
That seems to be the core takeaway from his defense in the material, yeah.
Now, there's something we should probably mention about the sources themselves here.
Right. It's worth pointing out that while we get this incredibly detailed back and forth, this verbal battle, the source material you provided doesn't actually go on to describe the physical fight. We don't see how Christian defeats Apollyon in combat, just this whole intense conversation leading up to it.
Okay, good clarification. So, let's step back. Why is digging into this encounter useful for you, the listener?
Well, I think it paints a pretty stark picture of the kind of spiritual opposition you might face. It's not always subtle. Sometimes it's direct challenges, accusations, temptations.
And that contrast is really clear, isn't it? Apollyon's service hard, wages are death, full of accusations, versus the king's service based on mercy, pardon, and future hope.
Definitely. And Christian having to wrestle with those specific accusations about his past failures, that feels very real. Many people can probably relate to having past sins or weaknesses thrown back at them, whether by external forces or just internal doubts. Christian's response admit it, but point to pardon seems key.
It also shows how temptation works. Apollyon uses a mix of tactics. Outright demands, trying to persuade, warnings, dredging up the past, appealing to maybe an easier way. It's not just one thing.
Right. It's multifaceted. So maybe a question to think about coming out of this material. Christian says his weaknesses, his infirmities came from Apollyon's country. There I sucked them in. How does that idea resonate with you? How do you think about the influence of maybe the world or background you came from? And following Christian's example, where do you look for strength and pardon when those old patterns or failing surface?
Something to consider. Well, thank you for joining us for this deep dive into Christian and Apollyon. You can find more deep dives like this wherever you usually listen.